It started as a laid-back anthem about wasting away on the beach, the salty rimmed cocktail. But Jimmy Buffett's Margaritaville didn't stay a song for long. It transformed into a sprawling empire, including things like restaurants, resorts, and yes, even pickleball sponsorships. So grab your lost shaker of salt, because today we're going to take a look at how Margaritaville became the weirdest business empire in America. But before we get started, be sure to subscribe to the Weird History Food channel. After that, please leave a comment and let us know what other cult brands you would like to hear about. Before Margaritaville became a global brand, Jimmy Buffett was just another struggling musician with a guitar, a dream, and a knack for turning hangovers into lyrics. Born in Pascagoula, Mississippi in 1946 and raised in Mobile, Alabama, Buffett grew up surrounded by the Gulf Coast's culture of fishing, sailing, and storytelling. After college, he drifted to Nashville in the late 60s, trying his hand at country music, and well, it didn't go so hot. His first record sold about as well as Sunscreen in a snowstorm. Then came a trip to Key West in the early 1970s, and Buffett's career swerved into a whole new lane. Key West wasn't just a location, it was a vibe. A sleepy island that had once been a smuggler's paradise. By the 70s, it had become a haven for artists, drifters, and people allergic to 9-to-5 jobs. Buffett fit right in. He started writing songs that captured the salty, sunburned spirit of the place, mixing country, folk, and Caribbean rhythms into a style he jokingly called Gulf and Western. By the mid-70s, Buffett was making headway. He scored a modest hit with Come Monday in 1974, a tender ballad he wrote for his future wife Jane while he was out on tour. The song climbed into the Billboard Top 40, proving he could do more than just barroom party anthems. He kept grinding, releasing albums like A1A and Havana Daydream, but it was his 1977 album, Changes in Latitudes, Changes in Attitudes, that gave him the breakout he'd been chasing. That album's lead single, Margaritaville, wasn't just a hit, it was a phenomenon. The song peaked at number 8 on the Billboard Hot 100 and lingered on the charts for months. Radio stations loved it, concert crowds sang it back to him, and suddenly Buffett wasn't just another troubadour, he was the bard of beach bum escapism. By the time the 80s rolled around, he had a devoted fan base known as parrot heads, diehards who treated his concerts like tropical pilgrimages, complete with Hawaiian shirts, inflatable sharks, and oceans of tequila. Buffett had gone from failed Nashville hopeful to the high priest of sand, surf, and steel drums. And in 1985, he finally did the most logical thing for a man who wrote a fortune-making ode to tequila. He opened the first Margaritaville store in Key West. When Buffett first planted the Margaritaville flag in Key West, it wasn't clear if the idea would work anywhere else, but the brand quickly proved itself. By the 1990s, Margaritaville had expanded beyond the island to Orlando's Universal City Walk, the Las Vegas Strip, and Myrtle Beach, all tourist hubs perfectly suited for vacationing parrot heads. And unlike the tiki bars of the 50s or the theme restaurants of the 80s, Margaritaville sold more than Mai Tais and nachos. It sold the dream of stepping into one of Buffett's songs. The timing was crucial. In the late 80s and early 90s, America was in the middle of a theme restaurant boom. Planet Hollywood promised star power. Hard Rock Cafe gave you rock and roll memorabilia with your burger. Rainforest Cafe turned dinner into a thunderstorm and toucan spectacle. Margaritaville fit right in, but it was quirkier. While other chains borrowed from movies, music, or nature, Buffett's concept came from a single 3-minute song about tequila and ennui. That was the joke and the genius. Margaritaville didn't need A-list actors or animatronic elephants. It had Jimmy Buffett and a never-ending happy hour. At its peak, the brand operated dozens of locations across the US, Canada, the Caribbean, and Mexico. Each one promised the same thing: burgers, seafood, tequila by the bucket, and a soundtrack stuck on Buffett and Friends. The restaurants leaned into spectacle. Some featured erupting volcano props, while others offered live music stages that turned dinner into a concert warm-up. Families could eat coconut shrimp while Dad sipped a Who's to Blame margarita and daydreamed about early retirement. The menu became iconic in its own right. The cheeseburger in paradise was lifted straight from Buffett's 1978 hit, and volcano nachos became a tourist rite of passage. Critics rolled their eyes at the kitsch, but diners kept coming. And that was the point. You didn't go to Margaritaville for fine dining. You went for the promise of a mini vacation with every overpriced daiquiri. By the By the mid-2000s, Margaritaville had cemented itself as both a parody and a serious business. It was self-aware enough to get spoofed on South Park, and still mainstream enough to show up in Jurassic World, where Jimmy himself ran from dinosaurs while clutching 2 cocktails. Plenty of theme restaurants faded with the 90s, but Buffett's empire endured, because it wasn't just a restaurant. It was a place where you could just kick back and waste away. Well, at least until the check came. What makes Margaritaville truly weird isn't the restaurants, it's everything that spilled out after them. Once the cafes proved fans would pay to step inside a 3-minute song, the brand metastasized into hotels, resorts, campgrounds, casinos, products, and eventually entire neighborhoods calibrated to 5 o'clock somewhere. By the mid-2020s, Margaritaville was touting roughly 20 lodging locations with more than 20 more in the pipeline, 2 gaming properties, Camp Margaritaville RV resorts, and over 60 food and beverage venues under banners like Landshark Bar and Grill and JWB Prime Steak and Seafood. Translation: the vibe became real estate. The wildest jump is Latitude Margaritaville, 55 and older retirement communities co-developed in Florida and South Carolina, where residents buy homes and live the Parrot Head lifestyle full-time. Marketing promises low HOA fees, golf cart life, live music, and Jimmy cameos. He even surprised residents with a pop-in performance before he passed. It didn't seem entirely clear that seniors would want to live in a place run by the guy who wrote a song called "Why Don't We Get Drunk and Screw?" But boy did they ever. The first big one, Daytona Beach, sold out more than 5 years ahead of projections, with 3,763 homes, an entire city of retirees in flip-flops. There's even a dedicated beach club you shuttle to for ocean time. If Del Boca Vista had steel drums, it would look like this. If home ownership feels like too big a commitment, there's always Margaritaville at Sea, a quick-hit micro-vacation. The Paradise, a reimagined Grand Classica, runs 2- and 3-night loops from the port of Palm Beach to the Bahamas. Karaoke, boat drinks, tribute bands, and pool deck sunburns baked in. It's an economical, extremely on-brand escape hatch. You step on board Friday and step back into your email Monday with a souvenir tumbler. The brand's product web is just as sprawling. There's the Margaritaville Frozen Concoction Maker, a blender that's a party trick. Landshark Lager, the trademark held by a Margaritaville alcohol trust and license for production, and a buffet of licensed grocery products, mixes, seafood, snacks that let you stock an entire pantry in teal. Even the campground spinoff is ballooning. Camp Margaritaville resorts have added RV sites, cottages, and in Texas, a planned $107 million residential expansion with concert perks and access to pools and fire pits. It's Parrot Head glamping for people who want HOA benefits with their s'mores. Of course, not every offshoot found paradise. Cheeseburger in Paradise, a separate Buffett-inspired chain, peaked at 38 locations before the last one closed in 2020 during the Luby's liquidation. It turns out you can build an empire on margaritas and daydreams, but burgers alone couldn't keep the tide from going out. Put it all together and you get something no other musician quite pulled off, a lifestyle that leapt off the t-shirt rack and became a place you can stay, sail, camp, or straight up retire, all while the soundtrack loops. For all its sun-soaked vibes, the Margaritaville empire has had more than a few storms. Jimmy Buffett may have built a brand on escapism, but reality occasionally crashed the party. In the 1980s, for example, Buffett had to fight for the very name Margaritaville. The Mexican-style restaurant chain Chi-Chi's tried to trademark it for themselves, hoping to cash in on the cocktail craze. Buffett went to court and won, securing the rights that would later anchor a billion-dollar empire. It was the first time Margaritaville proved it could, and would, defend its borders. But not all of Buffett's battles happened in a courtroom. In 1996, while piloting his seaplane Hemisphere Dancer in Jamaica, authorities opened fire on Buffett's aircraft, suspecting it of smuggling drugs. On board were Buffett, his wife, U2's Bono, and Chris Blackwell, the founder of Island Records. Nobody was hurt, but the incident inspired Buffett's tongue-in-cheek song, Jamaica Mistaka. Parrot Head's got a new anthem, and Buffett got a near-death story to tell on stage. A decade later, Buffett had another brush with scandal in France. In 2006, customs officials detained him in Saint-Tropez after allegedly finding more than 100 pills of ecstasy in his luggage. The story made international headlines, but Buffett later claimed the pills were just prescription medication and vitamins. He paid a small fine and was released, with the incident chalked up to a misunderstanding misunderstanding. For a man who sang about changes in latitudes, it was a reminder that latitude lines sometimes come with law enforcement. Beyond the brushes with danger, Buffett occasionally dipped into activism. In the mid-2000s, he joined animal rights groups in a boycott of Canadian seafood over the country's seal hunting practices. Margaritaville might not have been the first place you'd expect to see animal rights protests, but Buffett wasn't afraid to use his platform for causes he believed in. The most dramatic conflict came only after Buffett's death in 2023. His widow Jane and their accountant filed suit against co-trustee Richard Mosinter, accusing him of mismanaging Buffett's $275 million estate and acting against her best interests. Mosinter countered with his own filings, alleging interference. The dispute has since wound its way through Florida courts, a bitter legal tug-of-war over the legacy of a man who spent his life singing about peace and paradise. In the end, Margaritaville proved that even paradise has a probate court. So was Margaritaville just a novelty chain, or was it a stroke of marketing genius? The answer is both. Jimmy Buffett turned a single song into a $1.5 billion empire. Few musicians managed it. Dolly Parton has Dollywood. Kiss sold coffins. Bob Dylan launched whiskey. But Buffett built an entire lifestyle industry. Whether you see it as paradise or as peak kitsch, Margaritaville proves the weirdest food stories aren't always about what's on the plate. Sometimes they're about how a vibe becomes a business. So what do you think? And are you a fan of Jimmy Buffett's Margaritaville? Let us know in the comments below. And while you're at it, check out some of these other videos from Weird History.